But on the conspiracy theory note, for a long time, if you said anything about UFOs, people would think you were pretty far out, pretty fringe person. I think if you told the average American, like, hey, I saw a UFO yesterday, I would think the majority of people would be like, weird, but okay, like that's cool. I've heard people see those, but there's a little bit more credibility being lent to this whole theory of it now. And as it's indicated in the article, as I think you and I have even talked about before, the idea of something being unidentified is not the same idea as something being extraterrestrial. But in 2015 and 2016, there were a whole lot of sightings by the Navy on the East Coast of strange objects spinning, moving against the wind, accelerating and decelerating at speeds that would be almost impossible, burning amounts of fuel per energy that would, like, they said by the amount of movement and how much energy it would take to do that, they'd expect it to be in the hour, and it was up in the air for 12 hours. And there's all this footage and crazy shit. And basically what they're saying in this article is that since the advancement in tracking technology, there's been an advancement in sightings in unidentified flying objects. Did you read any of these stories, or did you see any of the video of it?
I didn't see the video, but I did read some of the stories. I didn't even know there was video. I looked on my phone and it didn't even show up on there.
Yeah, I actually saw a different article. I was looking a little bit deeper into it and happened to see some of the videos. I mean, it's pretty compelling stuff to hear it, not just in retrospect from people who served in the Navy, but as they're actually watching it. Like, I mean, here's just a quote from it. These things would be out there all day, said Lieutenant Ryan Graves, an FA-18 Super Hornet pilot who had been with the Navy for 10 years and who reported his sightings to the Pentagon and Congress. Quote, keeping an aircraft in the air requires a significant amount of energy. With the speeds we observe, 12 hours in the air is 11 hours longer than we'd expect. In late 2014, a Super Hornet pilot had a near collision with one of the objects. An official mishap report was filed. Some of the incidents were videotaped, including one taken by a plane's camera in early 2015 that shows an object zooming over the ocean waves as pilots question what they're watching. Quote, wow, what is that, man? Look at it fly. So this is like moments where they are viewing it on video, commenting on it as it happens. Is that pretty compelling shit to you?
Compelling as far as, do I think there are unidentified stuff? Absolutely. I don't think it's extraterrestrial like the article even said. To me, I would assume the much more logical is something someone's working on, to me, would make more sense. But if some of these sightings started in, way back when, and we still haven't seen implications of the technology, the other side of me says, well, that could be more compelling evidence for actual extraterrestrial.
Yeah, it's weird because on one hand, I would think military testing, some sort of new technology that the government's working on. On the same thought process, who would be more privy to that than the military? Like, you couldn't have flight operations going on with high-ranking military officials while at the same time you're having these undocumented tests going on in conflicting airspace. So it makes me wonder, like, some of this stuff maybe could be written off as like, hey, it was a commercial drone. Okay, sure. But a lot of these things, the footage, it doesn't add up. They look small to me. They look relatively small, but the articles say that they're like the size of a fighter jet, Mm-hmm. So, I mean, is it more likely that it's U.S. testing going on? Do you think it's surveillance of some other technology from another country? Like, what do you think this shit is?
Because I agree with you. So, if logically, I would assume it's U.S. because we're a superpower of pretty much unlimited wealth,
Mm-hmm.
Where we can make something like this. But I agree with you. If they were doing something super secretive, you think they'd be smart enough to go, hey, well, we have pilots in that area. Let's not test it there. So maybe somewhere that does have the financial, the monetary resources to go ahead and do that, somewhere like a China or something of that nature, could potentially be making something we don't know about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. There's a lot of things that I will discredit, like I've said for a long time, is that the idea that like the only witnesses that we have to rely on to go with are like Hicks, uneducated people that could use the that might want the attention, want their little 5 minutes of fame on the talk shows or whatever. But then when there's like high-ranking military people who have respectable jobs, they have like families, they're answering to very high-ranking people in the Pentagon and shit. It seems like it would cause them more ridicule and more embarrassment to come out and say something like this if it weren't true. So they don't really have the same kind of incentive to fabricate a story as somebody else does. To me, I feel like there's not many more reliable witnesses than Air Force pilots or Navy pilots.
I would agree that this is definitely way more credible than, you said, some like hillbilly, who makes it up in the middle of nowhere. Definitely way more credible. But I don't know. Do you think it is extraterrestrial? Do you think it is? Or do you think it's man-made?
I have a hard time. With it. I think my first instinct is that it is an unmanned drone of some kind. That I don't know. As far as like physics wise, I am not a physicist. I have no idea how you could make something travel at those kind of speeds. If it were manned though, because I read a pilot talking about it, they're like, speed doesn't kill you. Acceleration and deceleration kill you. So
that too is the stopping is what kills you.
And that makes a lot of sense. It's like once an object is in motion, it will stay in motion until an outside force acts upon it, right? Gravity, friction, anything like that being an outside force. But so if you're flying, you're basically staying still. It's when you stop that your body moves, or when you go that your body moves. So it made a lot of sense to me. So if there were life forms in it, even if they were alien life forms, I don't see how they could withstand that kind of G-force unless their biology was totally different than ours. But my guess is it's probably surveillance of some kind. I think it's probably some sort of fucking crazy fast technology that relies on something other than conventional fuel. And
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go off the complete deep end and say it could be technology-based life. Then that would explain G-force.
Yeah. Well, okay. Elaborate though.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that's what it is. But hypothetically, if you said it's something that is either biologically completely different with us, which would make sense, or very TV trope, cheesy sci-fi trope of being like android-based life, robot life of some sort.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, then that would not be privy to the same restrictions of G-forces.
Yeah.
But I think unmanned drone is much more likely.
It's interesting, man. This Navy pilot says the UFO was not of this world. This is a Navy pilot off California. And they said they opened up about their otherworldly experience. He says he had in 2004. His testimony comes just days after the Pentagon officially revealed the existence of a secret office investigating the existence of UFOs. Commander David Fravor, a former squadron leader who worked for the Navy as a pilot for 18 years, said on Monday he was on a routine training mission off the coast of California in 2004 when his unit was directed to go examine a strange unidentified object that was descending from 80,000 to 20,000 feet and then disappearing. Upon flying 60 miles to the location, he says he saw a tic-tac shaped object, which that is what everybody's saying, tic-tac shaped. So it's oblong, 40 foot long with no wings, just hanging it close to the water. He said it created a disturbance on the water, uncharacteristic of a helicopter or a plane, and moved rapidly. As I get closer, as my nose is starting to pull back up, it accelerates and it's gone. Faster than anything I'd ever seen in my life. We turn around and we say, let's go look what's in the water, and there's nothing, just blue water. So they saw it hovering, and then it just flew away, disappeared. He says he's not crazy, he wasn't drinking. After 18 years of flying, I'd pretty much seen everything I can see in that room, and this was nothing close to that. So
my thing too is, if this were, not that I think this is alien, because I do not, but if this were U.S. testing of something unmanned, I really don't think they'd allow someone like this to ever speak out on the issue.
And yeah, correct. Yeah. And, a minute ago when we were talking about, would they let these training things occupy the same airspace with actual people who were training military missions, there's also the fear of, like, we just don't want it to be exposed. So why let these people see it and then have to worry about them going out and talking about it afterwards? Like you said, if it were extraterrestrial and they were trying to keep it a secret, we would have never heard from these guys.
Yeah, but then even if it were testing and they were trying to keep it secret, we'd have never heard from these guys.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's the thing that's weird to me is, if they were testing and let's say they went to an accidentally, they're like, fuck, we messed up. We went into this airspace that we shouldn't have while testing. Unless the whole end game is, well, no one's going to believe them anyway because of rednecks have been claiming this for years.
At this point, with deep fakes, with the advancements in special effects and CGI, with every camera trick that we know exists under the sun now, and even special effects that can be achieved in real life, what would it take for you to believe that we are being visited by extraterrestrials?
It would have to come down and meet with the president at this point for me to believe,
Meet with the president on television.
Yeah, it'd have to be something like that.
And if they met with the president on television, you would take it at face value?
Yeah, if there was 40 different news channels covering it, yeah.
Yeah.
Cell phone videos of different angles and everything.
Yeah, there we go. That's that. See, once it shows up on World Star Hip Hop or fucking Twitter or something, just unfiltered, unedited, not from any major news outlet, just some dude on the streets got a video of an alien, on signs. That's when I'm like, oh, fuck this, it's going down.
Yeah, if they were walking around, there'd be let's say it landed, a spaceship landed, there'd be thousands of videos of it up on social media within the next hour, of different angles and different that. It would be one of those things. It'd be pretty concrete, and I just feel like everything, like the Bigfoot stories we cover and all that, if this were really going on, I just find it really hard to believe that we can never find anything even remotely concrete or more than multiple sources with video.
Yeah, man. You got to look at these videos afterwards. They didn't, to me, they were hard to, I guess that's the nature of the thing. They were hard to identify. You guys let us know what you think, though. I will have played some of that video here. And
they weren't like my high quality thumbnail that I sent you that I doctored.
Those were pretty nice, man. Those are strong. Yeah. What are you making those on?
An app called Poster Maker, and then I just was searching for transparent background images and stuff, and just transposed it over the article picture.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I've always been interested in the UFO thing. I think it's fascinating. I think that it's mostly mass hysteria, but there's just lately there have been a couple of things, man, with NASA talking about it, with the government having special wings dedicated to it, with more credible sources coming out. I think that unidentified flying objects are only going to get more common as personal flight, like vehicles, cars and shit that can fly become more likely and more common,
Oh yeah, then it's going to be a nightmare. We're never going to know when anything. Then we'll actually have aliens come down and just drive amongst us and we'll never know.
Yeah, I won't even notice.